Hello friends, welcome to Mahipal Reddy GK House. Myself Prithvidhar Reddy. Let us discuss important current affairs for today. Coming to the first one, Chaman Lal Gupta passes away. Who is he? He was former Union Minister and veteran BJP leader. He hails from Jammu and Kashmir, born on 13th April 1934. He served as MLA, MP and minister, especially the Union Minister under the Vajpayee government. And he represented from Udhampur constituency of Jammu for Lok Sabha. And he's a scholar also. He has written three important books. One is Sansad Mein Jammu and Kashmir, Sansad Mein Deshvars, Mere Prayas. So these are the three books he has written. And he has served in three capacities. One is Minister of State for Civil Aviation, Food Processing and Defense. So all these portfolios were held under the Vajpayee government. Okay, this much things you have to remember. Coming to the second one, K. Rajanarayan passes away. He died on May 17th. He is a Tamil writer, novelist, Sahitya Academy awardee also. He born on 16th September 1923. He is the pioneer of Karisal literature. Karisal literature means short story literature. Short story writing in Tamil. That is called Karisal literature. He is the pioneer. So you must remember this point. Coming to the Sahitya Academy Award, he has won in the year 1991, and the award was for Gopal Paratumakkal. This is what the work he has done. And he had also worked as a professor of folklore at Pondicherry University. And important works of this particular writer is, one is Gopala Gramam, second one is Karisal Kaduttasi, third one Andaman Naikar. These are the three important works he has contributed for the Tamil literature. Coming to the Sahitya Academy Award, what this award is for. So specially, it is a literary honor in India, and it is conferred by Sahitya Academy, which is India's National Academy of Letters. And for how many languages it will be given. The award is conferred to the outstanding books of literary merit, which is published in 24 major Indian languages, including Hindi, English, and other 22 languages of 8th schedule of the Indian Constitution. 8th schedule lists out certain important languages of India, and the award includes a casket comprising of an engraved copper plaque and a shawl, as well as some amount that is 1 lakh rupees. Okay, this much you have to remember regarding Sahitya Academy Award. And next important current affair is Karnataka ranks first in establishing wellness centers, health and wellness centers under Ayushman Bharat scheme. So these health and wellness centers are very, very important in making sure the health services are available to the rural people. And especially the government of India had announced the creation of 1,50,000 health and wellness centers by transforming existing sub-centers and primary healthcare centers. These primary healthcare centers are usually located in the Mandal headquarters, and these sub-centers are located in those villages which are more people, or it means more populated villages will contain these particular sub-centers. And these centers would deliver comprehensive primary health care, because it will bring a lot of health services to one place, like maternal services, child health services, non-communicable diseases, and free and essential drugs, as well as the diagnostic services, because these are the services which are the reasons for the most of the out of the pocket expenditure for the people. So to address these issues, the health and wellness centers are actually established. Health and wellness centers are envisaged to deliver expanded range of the services to address the primary healthcare needs of the entire population in that particular area, so that you can reach the universal healthcare. Okay, this is what the goal of the Ayushman Bharat scheme. And where Karnataka government had fared well. Actually, central government target was to establish 263 health and wellness sub centers, whereas Karnataka upgraded 3,300. It means the target is completely exceeded. Even with respect to the primary healthcare centers, also Karnataka achieved well, and overall, the health and wellness centers concerned, Karnataka had overshot the target which was set by the central government. So this is what the achievement. And let us understand what is Ayushman Bharat scheme. This Ayushman Bharat scheme was launched in the year 2018, and to address all the health issues at all the levels, that is at the primary level, secondary level, and tertiary level. It contains two components. One is Pradhana Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, which was earlier known as National Health Protection Scheme, and secondly, health and wellness centers. So these are the two important components of Ayushman Bharat. One is the insurance component, and second one is the delivery component. So in this way, it is an integrated approach comprising of health insurance and primary, secondary, and tertiary healthcare. This is what the greatest point about the Ayushman Bharat scheme. And very recently, Telangana also joined the Ayushman Bharat scheme. So Telangana Medical and Health Department signed a memorandum of understanding with the National Health Authority for the implementation of the Ayushman Bharat. So this is what the latest development, please remember. Okay. Then next important current affair is Jharkhand tops implementation of the smart city projects. So actually the smart city scheme is or smart cities mission is implemented by Ministry of Urban Housing and Urban Affairs. And the ranking is based on the following parameters. What are the parameters which decides the ranking? One is smart city plan implementation. This is important part of the smart cities mission. Ongoing work tendering process, how the tendering is taking place, and utilization certificates. So how the utilization is done, how the funds are utilized, and provision of the utility certificates to the central government. So the second place actually has gone to Rajasthan. It was actually in the 29th place. Very, very surprisingly, it reached to the level of the second place. Coming to the smart cities mission, it was launched in the year 2015 with the estimated cost of 4,80,000 crore rupees. Okay. And what is the objective? To promote the sustainable and inclusive cities for the decent standard of the citizens. Actually, India is urbanizing at the faster pace. When you are urbanizing at the faster pace, definitely it is very much important to create the proportionate infrastructure in the cities. So the smart cities would actually address that particular aspect. 100 cities have been selected for area-based development between the years 2019 to 2023 and implemented by the special purpose vehicle. A special vehicle is actually established by the collaboration between the central government, state government, a private partner, and also the local body. So in that way, a special purpose vehicle is actually established. So the 2021-22 budget actually allocated 6,450 crores for this particular smart cities mission. Next important issue, very, very important. It is an International Energy Agency. It has published a report that is called Net Zero by 2050. Net Zero by 2050. So this particular report envisages the rise in the temperature must be limited to 1.5 degrees centigrade. Let us learn why this particular 1.5 degrees centigrade rise is very, very important. Why the temperature rise must be limited at this particular level. Let us understand. What does this report actually talk about? It says halting new oil and gas as well as coal fields, okay, will be key to achieve net zero carbon emissions by 2050. It means we have to stop the new explorations altogether in order to protect the earth from the global warming phenomenon. So what is a net zero emission? It means that all man-made greenhouse gas emissions must be removed from the atmosphere through the reduction measures. Reduction measures means forestation, sequestration of the carbon dioxide, Okay, ocean seeding. There are a lot of techniques, both natural and artificial techniques are there, so that you would remove the excess carbon dioxide. You would remove the excess carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Okay, so that the global temperature will be stabilized. This is what the idea behind this. And what is next important thing is why net zero emission achievement is essential, because it helps in limiting the increase in the average global temperature, okay, to less than 1.5 degrees Celsius. And next importantly, the current pledges of the countries are insufficient, which lead to an increment of 2.1 degrees Celsius by 2050. You understand, if you are exploring the current oil fields, coal fields in the same pace, the temperature would increase by 2.1 degrees centigrade instead of halting the temperature rise at 1.5 degrees centigrade. Or then why the rise in global temperature must not be more than 1.5 degrees centigrade? What is the reason? Because only if you are going to contain the temperature rise at 1.5 degrees centigrade, only fewer people will lose their homes to rising seas, and millions of square kilometers of permafrost is saved over centuries, and 50% reduction in global population experiencing the water scarcity, so that water scarcity problem can be reduced. And you can limit on ice free arctic summers, one per century. So this is also one of the advantage. And 50% reduction in the species losing half their geographical range. So it means you can conserve the water, you can conserve the ice, you can conserve the global climatic balance, okay, and also you can conserve the biodiversity. So in this way, you are going to conserve the livelihoods of the people also. So this is what the significance of limiting the temperature rise at 1.5 degrees centigrade. Next one, India loses 186 elephants to railways in 10 years. Railways became very much fatal for the elephants nowadays. It is one of the manifested form of the man and animal conflict. Okay, according to Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, a total of 186 elephants were killed after being hit by the trains between 2009 to 2020. This is what good, very big number. 186 elephants means it is not a simple number. And Assam accounted for the highest number of elephant casualties on the railway tracks. So that is at 62, followed by West Bengal, followed by Odisha at the 27. And Uttar Pradesh saw only one death. So this is what the significant achievement. And in order to contain this particular fatality, government had acted very firmly. Like a permanent coordination committee was conducted between railways as well as the Ministry of Environment and Forest and Climate Change. So it means an interministerial body was created, and this body would make sure that clearing of vegetation along the railway tracks to enable a clear view for the loco pilots, so that loco pilots must be able to see very clearly, setting up of underpass or overpass for the safe passage of the elephants. So likewise, there were certain measures were taken in order to contain the number of the elephants going down the rails. So Ministry of Environment and Forest had released 212 crores, okay, to the elephant range states where the elephants are there. So which is a centrally sponsored scheme, okay, to protect the elephants. Okay. And there are certain important facts to be remembered. Okay, they may not ask you what is the number of elephants died, but they may ask you, first one, elephant was declared as Indian national heritage animal, and in order to protect the elephants, Project Elephant was started in the year 1992. Okay, what is the purpose? To protect the elephants and their habitats as well as the corridors, because protecting the elephants means protecting their habitat also. Okay, to address the issues of man and animal conflict, like for example, the elephants are the reasons for the spoiling of the crops of the farmers. For that reason, farmers may use some electric fences, etc. So you must address that point also. Okay, the welfare of the captive animals. So wherever the elephants are actually taken care by the government or the Jews, so those interests must also be protected. And elephant census is conducted for every 5 years. So this is also very important point to be remembered, because they may ask you elephant census is conducted for 10 years, 15 years, 2 years, or 1 year, or 5 years. In that way they may ask you. So get ready for this particular question. And the next one, highest elephant numbers are cited in which state? So it is in Karnataka. Next comes Assam. Next comes Kerala. So this is the order you have to remember. Okay. Firstly Karnataka. Secondly Assam. Thirdly Kerala. And presently in India, 32 elephant reserves are there. And first reserve created was Singham Reserve, which is located in Jharkhand. And IUCN status of ancient elephant is endangered status. So it means the elephant population is facing a constant danger. Okay, then. So that's the reason why a pilot project called Reducing Elephant Human Attacks Using Bees. So using the bees, the elephant attacks to be reduced. The man and elephant conflicts must be reduced. Okay, so which has been launched in the Karnataka. Okay, so which means installing the bee boxes along the periphery of the forests as well as the villages to mitigate human and animal conflict. It means the bees will be acting as a fence between the human population as well as the elephant population. So these spots are located on the periphery of the Nagarhole National Park and Tiger Reserve, so which is located in Karnataka. So you must remember this. It is in Karnataka, and which is a non-conflict zone. So it is very famous conflict zone. So where this particular experimentation is being done. And what is the implementing agency? The project is an initiative of Khadi and Village Industries Commission, so which is a statutory body, and it is a submission of the KVIC's National Honey Mission. National Honey Mission is actually run by this particular KVIC. As a part of this program, this particular rehab program is being run. Okay, that is reducing the elephant human attacks using the bees. Next one, National Program on Advanced Chemistry Cell Battery Storage. The Union Cabinet approved very big project, that is 18,100 crore project. So that scheme is production linked incentive. So whoever produce, they will be getting the incentive. Okay, and this scheme is called the National Program on Advanced Chemistry Cell Battery Storage. Okay, National Program on Advanced Chemistry Cell Battery Storage. So it is under the Ministry of Heavy Industries and Public Enterprises. You must remember this. Okay, NPACC is actually implemented by which of the following ministry? That way you may get a question. Okay, so this particular PLI, that is production linked incentive, it aims to give companies incentives on incremental sales from products manufactured in the domestic units. So the way their products are being marketed, so the same fashion they will be getting the incentives from the government. So it invites the foreign companies to set up the units, and also it would encourage the local companies to expand the existing capacities in this way. Okay, and this particular PLI scheme is approved for all the sectors like automobiles, pharmaceuticals, IT hardware, laptops, mobile phones, telecom equipment, white goods. So it means mobile phones, okay, and electronic goods, chemical cells and textiles. So wherever it is possible, this particular scheme is going to be implemented. Okay, and coming to advanced chemistry cell, these are very advanced technology. So actually advanced storage technologies. It means actually as far as the electric vehicles is concerned, we use lithium ion batteries. Okay, these are very costly batteries. Because of this battery cost, the vehicle cost is also increasing, very expensive. So for that reason, we have to encourage advanced or alternative technologies in the name of advanced chemistry cells. So these can store the electric energy either as electrochemical or as chemical energy. And whenever the need arises, it converts it back to the electric energy, and that can be utilized. Okay, so such battery storages will cater not only electric vehicles but also to the consumer electronics industry and electricity grids. So in this way, it is having a lot of advantage in our domestic manufacturing process. So we have already discussed this. And coming to prices, Millennium Technology Prize. Who received this particular prize? Two scientists of Cambridge University received this. One is Shankar Balasubramaniam. Second one is David Kleinerman. David Kleinerman. So these are the two scientists who received this particular prize. What is their achievement? Especially for the development of revolutionary DNA sequencing techniques. Actually, DNA will be sequenced for their nitrogenous basis. Okay, their arrangement will tell you the expression of a particular gene. Okay, how, whether the gene is defective, whether the gene is having any problem. Okay, in that way you would be able to diagnose the problem at the molecular level. So this sequencing is very, very important for the genetic abnormalities to be diagnosed. So this is very, very important technology. Actually, the technology got already developed, but this technology is very much important, whereby the sequencing will be done at the low cost and a very cheaper manner, and very fastly it will be done. Okay, this award is presented by the Technology Academy of Finland. So what is the advantage? This particular technology is called Solexa Illumina, which is the next generation DNA sequencing, which enables fast, accurate, and low cost and large scale genome sequencing. So this is what very, very important. Low cost and large scale genome sequencing, it can be done. And the technology, as far as the Technology Academy Finland is concerned, the CEO is Markku Elila and headquarters is in Espoo of Finland. And the next important thing is National Academy of Sciences. Actually, National Academy of Sciences is very, very prestigious organization in United States of America. An Indian got a membership. So his name is Shankar Ghosh. He's Indian origin immunologist. He is one among the 120 newly elected members to the National Academy of Sciences. So as far as this NAS is concerned, it is a non-profit institution established by the Act of Congress of United States of America, okay, by a legislation in the year 1863. Okay, the president is Marcia McNutt, and it is headquartered in Washington DC of United States of America. So this name is very, very important. And secondly, this is also very, very important point. It is non-profit institution. Next one, China launched Haiyang 2D, so which is a satellite. So that satellite is Ocean Observation Satellite, and it was launched using a launching vehicle called Long March 4B. Okay, these are the two important points. It is Ocean Observation Satellite, and secondly, it is launched by Long March 4B from the Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center, which is located in the Gobi Desert of China. And what is the purpose? Already there were two satellites launched previously, that is HY2B and HY2C satellites. So using these satellites, it will form a constellation. What is this constellation? It means a group of satellites, so which will help the China in the early warning and prediction of the marine disasters. What are the disasters? Whatever the disasters that happen in the ocean, so those will be detected. And next important thing is Tokyo Olympics of 2020. Two rovers from India. One is Arjun Laljat. Second one is Arvind Singh. These two guys qualified for the Tokyo Olympics of 2020 in the rowing category. Okay, so this must be remembered. These two names are very, very important. And the sport name is rowing. And the next important thing is Tashi Yangjom. She is a lady. She is the first Indian women climber to summit the world highest peak this year. Everest peak was scaled by this particular lady in this particular year, and she hails from Arunachal Pradesh, and she was trained at the National Institute of Mountaineering and Allied Sports in the village. Okay, this is what the information regarding Tashi Yangjom. She is the first woman in the year 2021 to scale the Mount Everest. So this must be remembered. And lastly, an app that was launched by the Jharkhand government, that is Amrita Vahini. Amrita Vahini. So this is a app for the sake of the patients, COVID patients, for the sake of communicating between the government and the patients regarding the diagnosis, medicine, their health and well-being, and hospital beds. Everything is placed in this particular app in order to make sure that the information is reached to the people at the larger level. Okay, so thank you friends, thank you for watching this video. Tomorrow I will be meeting you again with all important current affairs.